Today, I want to talk about a revolutionary camera, an iconic camera in my eyes that helped transform the Micro Four Thirds platform and also popularized mirrorless cameras in general and retro styling. This is the original Olympus OM-D E-M5. Hi, it's Cheng here from RED35 and welcome back once again to my retrospective series. And as I said earlier, today we are looking at one of the originals, one of my very first mirrorless cameras, the Olympus OM-D E-M5. To tell the truth, this is not the original E-M5 I bought back in 2012. I actually got this camera, of course used in a second-hand market, only a couple of weeks ago. I really wanted this camera back. And I'm going to tell you all about it in this particular video here, and why I think this deserved much more attention than it is even in 2024. To tell you all about the E-M5, I first have to do a little bit of a throwback. So back in 2012, I was already a full-blown professional photographer using Canon full-frame DSLR, such as the EOS 5D. And that was my second year entering into my career, making money and also being a business owner. So I really didn't have the time nor the budget actually to get another system. But that's all changed when I was traveling in Hong Kong. So here's the thing about full-frame DSLRs back in 2012. When you invest in a lot of pro prime lenses, the top-end professional grade lenses, they are heavy and bulky. And even when I was traveling, I would take a general zoom such as the 24-70 2.8 and a couple of primes, 50, maybe 85 1.2L lenses. These combined together could easily over 3 kilograms in weight. That's excluding extra batteries and other accessories that I have to carry in a bag. And that can be quite taxing on your body. So this is not something that I really enjoy, but that was the choice I had at the time. So back in 2012, I was carrying exactly that to Hong Kong. And I was traveling around doing a lot of photography there. And when I exited one of the train stations and I saw a billboard showcasing the Olympus OM-D E-M5. So I was banging my head in the wall, thinking that I couldn't possibly afford another system after spending all my money into Canon to start my business. But after seeing that poster, it's almost like when you see the woman that you're dreaming of every single day, and then you just can't shake that image in your head, and you just really wanted to see it in the flesh, touch it, and appreciate it. So that's what I did exactly the next day. I went to a local camera shop in Hong Kong and I asked for one to have a try. So after handling it, I fell in love with it. I took a couple of pictures. I didn't even have to go pixel peeping. I just say to the guy, can I have one? So I bought it with my credit card. I didn't even pay in full. So I bought the camera with a kit lens. I didn't buy any new lenses or anything like that. In fact, actually, at the time, I don't think there was many choices. So I just bought the 12-50 EZ power zoom, I believe. Wasn't particularly good lens, but anyway, I stuck with that for some time before I upgrade. A couple of extra battery, and that was it. That is what started my mirrorless journey and also my journey into Olympus camera. So that split-second impulse buying decision was the conclusion of a few things that I noticed when I picked up the E-M5 at the shop. And first of all is the build quality. And if I can compare the E-M5 to any camera on the market at the time, I would say that it feels more like a Leica. It's very solid. Despite the size, it has a little bit of weight to it because it is a full metal construction. And also the look, you can't argue that this is an ugly camera. In fact, I would say that was the prettiest camera back in 2012. I haven't seen anything like this, and that is exactly why I said earlier, it was the poster that caught my eyes and I really wanted to see it in the flesh. It was that good. There's nothing else on the market at the time that really kind of really pushed me to buy it. And this was the camera has that aesthetic that I would say that, oh gosh, I've got to have one of these. But anyway, the second thing about, the camera is the EVF. I know that EVF wasn't particularly great back in 2012, but having an EVF is really, really cool. I know many people were still arguing at the time, OVF is still way better than EVF. You got to stay with EVF. It's got no delay, no lags, and you got pin-sharp picture and things like that. Yes, but that was 2012. However, a couple of things I do notice with the advantage of having an EVF is what you see, what you get. And also, you can change the layout and everything on the fly when you see through the electronic viewfinder. And finally, is the handling and the usability of the camera. Okay, at the shop, you can only do a few things, right? You can take the camera around the block, have a try, take a few snaps and things like that. And that's probably as far as you can go. But even that brief moment of testing the camera, and I felt that this was my camera. All the dials are at the right places, the function buttons and everything is good, and it just had that solid tactile feeling, so everything I touch is good. You see, like the clicks on the dials feels fantastic. Just everything works, everything as it should. All the layouts at the right places, and you don't feel cramped or anything like that, unlike some of the modern models these days. So simple yet functional, and I really enjoy that. And I haven't even looked at the images because you can't, I have to go to the computer and look at the pixel peep or whatever, do all sorts of things, but I didn't even bother about that. I just thought, it feels good in the hand. It has all the features I think is cool at the time, and that look, come on, just give me that camera. So after the purchase, I got the camera back to the hotel, opened it up, put the lenses together, charged the battery, and went around the block and take some more photos. And at that time, I realized and other things that I didn't notice when I was playing around with the camera at the shop. And that is image stabilization. And that's the very first time I experienced IBIS. And man, God, it was shockingly good. Because I was wondering, when I was looking through the EVF, is how come everything looks so stable? Unlike a DSLR, it just shakes everywhere, right? So I was thinking, like, is it my eyes or is something wrong with the camera? Is everything just look rock steady? Just crazy. And so that is something that I found it to be amazing. Oh, I didn't know that Olympus had that sort of technologies. I didn't know, this camera would do that. So I was pleasantly surprised, because I didn't really think about IBIS at the time. I didn't even research on the camera. Like I said, I just went to the shop, look at the camera. I just want to see it in the flesh, without having to study it like, what most people would do before they buy a camera. I just love the look of it. And so after testing it out, I thought, oh wow, that IBIS is amazing. It was just shockingly good. Another thing, of course, after taking some sample photos, I got back to the hotel, I opened my laptop and put the images in and just run through it and have a look at them. Then I tell myself, why did I just spend that much money on a Canon full-frame system when I can get something like what the E-M5 can produce? Okay, that's a little bit of exaggerations there. The Canon 5D is still an iconic camera in its own right, which I can talk about it at some point. But, when I talk about the image quality coming from the E-M5, and I think it has done a great job despite having only 16 megapixel compared to my 18 at the time, I believe. I can't remember exactly what the 5D was. So in terms of pixel count, it wasn't that far off. But the colors coming up from the E-M5 was shockingly close to what the Canon produced at the time. The skin tone was perfect. The colors were vibrant and contrasty. I don't usually look at JPEGs. I just look at RAW and then just do my normal processing, so I can compare side by side what they look like. I would say that the image quality is very close to what the 5D can do. And I would say that it's slightly even more flexible in the highlight and shadow areas when you do pullings and boosting, because the Canon's always suffering from shadow areas. And I don't know how many Canon users out there, but you might agree with me, when you use the Canon 5D Mark 1, 2, and even 3, the shadow area is always kind of like a hit and miss things. It can be mushy, and when you push the shadow up, so it's not always the best looking thing. But the E-M5 is actually very good at that. I could pull up the shadow quite high, a couple of stops without losing too much detail. And the noise coming out from it is actually very organic, very film-like. So I really like that. I don't even mind not having noise reduction at all, just make it look like a film camera. So this is another appeal of the Olympus EM5 camera, is the image quality coming out from it. So Olympus has always been a photographic-centric company, and they never really bother about video features and things like that. And you can really tell with the EM5. Yes, you can shoot videos with this thing, but it's only 1080 and 30p, and that really is about it. And there's nothing to write home about, let's put it that way. But photographically, you can see the ergonomic is really designed for photographic usage. The tilt screen, for instance, is icing on the cake. There's no flippy screen, there's no selfie screen. It's just a tilt screen for do some waist level shooting on the street. I like that, and really, really cool. There is an accessory port as well, which at the top you can connect to all sorts of stuff, which they already discontinue, and you can't really buy most of them now. I did have a couple of them, like the LED lights and also the mics as well. And yeah, I did have those after I bought this camera, because I thought I could be a YouTuber one day when I bought this camera. I was thinking about that, you see. And but I never use those accessories. Once again, it'll be somewhere in my drawer somewhere, and I might dig it up some days and have a play. But otherwise, this camera really is a photographic camera. And one thing I would like to draw attention is the autofocus on the EM5. Yes, it has contrast detect AF, which isn't the fastest in the world, but it is certainly the most accurate. Even more accurate than face detection. And that is why a lot of the more modern digital cameras, mirrorless cameras now have hybrid technologies now. They're both using contrast detect and face detect. So they use contrast detect for point-to-point shooting, and also hybrid F when it comes to tracking. So you get the best of both worlds. We know the advantages of contrast detect AF, so it works really well for the EM5 when you do a single shot, for instance. So it isn't really designed for actions and continuous tracking and things like that. Even it has the features, but you can literally forget about it, because I tested when I was using the EM5 at the time, and it just can't do anything that I wanted it to do compared to my full-frame DSLR, the EOS 5D. That does a way better tracking than this one here. The continuous focus is more advanced, more accurate by comparison. But other than that, the EM5 is very, very capable and very, very quick when it comes to focusing. And now you see why I like the EM5 original. It really is that camera for photographers. And even with a modest 16 megapixel sensor, and I think is plenty for modern digital use, and the colors are very respectable. The dynamic range is still very massageable. You know, you can still do a lot with this camera. I recently took it out just to, you know, take some photos around, and I still think these things is great. And why I fell in love with it when I first saw it, when I was just handling it, and when I first taking some photos with it, it's just an amazing camera. And in fact, I having any regrets, you know, after the second time owning this camera, because I think this would definitely remain on my shelf, you know, with all the other EM5s. Yes, I have all of them, by the way, and I can talk about them one by one, so you can, you know, understand a little bit more about the entire series and also the evolution of this particular lineup. But the EM5 original really is a special camera in my eyes, and it kind of really put Olympus into the map of a lot of people who may not have heard of the company, who may not have experienced mirrorless technologies, IBIS, and all the other computational stuff. So well done, Olympus, at the time, you know, for bringing this to the world, you know, to kickstart, you know, company thinking about producing retro styling cameras, and also IBIS and all the other stuff, you know, pretty much like, you know, the Nikon ZFC right next to it. You can see the inspirations there. If you look at it side by side though, the EM5 still stands on its own, better built, has IBIS, and smaller and lighter still yet. So you can't really compare the ZFC to the EM5. And you know, if I want to have a lightweight travel system and that is capable and taking brilliant pictures, if you don't mind the 60 megapixel, yeah, 2024 is still a year to buy the EM5. And not joking, you won't be disappointed. And the fact is, the price on the EM5 original is actually stable for the past 5-6 years. I haven't seen it lower than £200. I know you can get something lower, but there will be a well-used, scratched up models. And if you want something like a bit well preserved and that will last you for another 10 years, you probably have to spend over £200. which is kind of surprising to in modern digital world, because a lot of digital cameras these days you can pick it up for like 50, 60 pounds for a 12, 13-year model. So yeah, well done for Olympus, and I think they've done well with this. Like I said, this is an original piece. It's not rare like the Pen F. You can definitely get hold of one quite easily and widely available. My personal choice would be the black and silver, because the black and silver has the leatherette effect grip instead of the very kind of weird carbon look on the black model. I much prefer the more traditional looking camera. So this is it for this video, and let me know your thoughts about the original Olympus OM-D E-M5. Do you have one? Have you owned one? Are you planning to buy one after watching this video? And if you do, please do let me know in the comment section below. I would like to hear from you and your experience of the camera if you had one before. And yeah, are you intending to keep one? I would like to hear all the stories about your cameras and collection. Let me know what other cameras you have and what other cameras you would like me to look at. And if you have one, I'll definitely talk about it. So, you know what to do now. Thumb if you like this video, and sub if you want to stay in touch with all my photography talks and also camera and lens talks in the future, especially this Restrospective series, so we can talk about all the older stuff and weird, quirky cameras that I owned in the past and now as well. Anyway, see you all very soon, and I will talk to you next time. Bye for now. Welcome back to the bonus sections of today's video, and yeah, let me know your thoughts about the E-M5. I'm certainly a big fan, you know, a fan, in fact, a die-hard fan for the E-M5 series, full stop. After the original E-M5, I did say that this is the reacquired model, you know, this is not the original E-M5 that I first bought in 2012. But after I bought the E-M5, I did trade up, you know, from the Mark 1 to the Mark 2, which I still have the Mark 2. Then I got the Mark 3, which I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a separate video. Then, of course, the OM5. So I have the entire series in my collection, 1, 2, 3, and the OM5. And I'm going to continue to collect them because I love the form factor. I love how they evolve. The OM5 certainly is a very capable little camera, just like this, and I really love using it as well. Yeah, it's a lot to talk about the E-M5 series, and I hope you like the E-M5 as well, because I think, to me, the E-M1 or the OM1 is really gunning for the top end, you know, people who need to use it for performance rather than a traveling and things like that. Because the travel theme, the whole Micro Four Thirds ethics is all about portability and agility. And I think the E-M5 really showcasing that while maintaining a lot of the quality of the high-end cameras, such as weather sealing, the construction, the IBIS, is really second to, you know, to the E-M1, the flagship series. No one can beat that in terms of IBIS when it comes to this sort of form factor, this sort of sizes. So if you really want a travel system that is lightweight yet capable, I don't think you can get better than that. I know you can get the ZFC or other retro looking stuff, you know, the Fujifilm thing, the XM5, which they recently released. Yes, it is nice looking, it's more modern, and then it's also got IBIS. But like I said, the Micro Four Thirds IBIS is by far the best. I mean, I'm not talking about just the OM system or Olympus, also Lumix as well. The IBIS in the Micro Four Thirds platform in general is way superior compared to APS-C and the full frame. And I use all of them, so I know how they compare to each other. So if you want something really stable, if you don't want to take a tripod with you, take Micro Four Thirds cameras, and also better for your shoulder, your weight. If you want to carry something small, you know, like that, look at this. Just take a little small prime with you and a couple of lenses. You can easily fit into a tiny bag, and you can go anywhere without any burden. You know, you can actually go shopping with your wife and girlfriends, right? So you don't have to worry about weight and things. So you don't have to sit down every 5 seconds and say, I need a break, I need to have a coffee, unless you really want to. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'm certainly going to continue the series and talk a little bit about all the cameras I have in my collection, which I have quite a few. I have some quirky one coming as well, so I'm going to talk about that after I've done a lot of shots with it, and so I'm going to tell you all about it. So remember to stay tuned by subscribing to this channel, and also give me a thumb and give me some support. Next time, I will talk to you another camera. I will wait until I review what that is. And so, see you all very soon. Have a good day. Bye for now. Peace.